Retirement planning can feel like navigating a minefield these days, right? I mean, when markets doing their roller coaster thing and inflation kind of nibbling away at savings, you're probably looking for some solid ground, ways to protect the future you're building.
Absolutely. It's completely natural in uncertain times to explore ways to add a layer of stability, something, tangible to your retirement portfolio, beyond just the traditional paper assets.
Right. And that's where precious metals often enter the picture.
Exactly.
And a specific way to do that for your retirement savings is through something called a Gold IRA. Now, this isn't your standard brokerage account. It's a self-directed retirement account. It lets you hold physical gold and other IRS-approved precious metals.
Yeah. Our source today, the one we're diving into, even frames it as building a kind of financial bunker for your future, which is a pretty vivid image.
It really is.
Yep.
So what's the basic idea there?
Well, the basic idea is taking funds from an existing retirement account. You might have, like, say, a 401k or a traditional IRA, using those funds to buy IRS-approved gold or silver, and then storing those physical assets securely in an improved depository.
Okay, makes sense. But setting up that financial bunker, it sounds like it requires some specific expertise. You probably need a guide, right?
Yeah.
A company that specializes in these complex accounts.
You definitely do. And that brings us to our deep dive source material today. We're looking at a comparison written by Doug Young. He's got over 20 years in financial investing, precious metal specifically, and he weighs the pros and cons of two pretty major companies in this space, Augusta Precious Metals and Birch Gold Group.
Gotcha. So our mission here is basically to distill Doug Young's analysis.
Pretty much. We'll unpack what he says about gold IRAs, how these companies operate according to his report, and really highlight the key differences he points out. Things like their services, the products they offer, fee structures, and maybe most crucially, the kind of customer experience they provide.
All right, let's unpack this comparison then. Doug Young introduces both Augusta Precious Metals and Birch Gold Group as, significant players. Companies people turn to for help setting up and managing these specialized precious metal IRAs.
Yeah, they both serve that core function. They provide the infrastructure and, importantly, the guidance for investors who want to put physical precious metals into their retirement strategy.
Okay, so Doug Young first takes a closer look at each company individually. Then he gets into a side-by-side comparison of the key aspects he focused on. Let's start with Augusta Precious Metals based on his analysis.
Right. So his comparison really highlights Augusta's strong reputation. It seems it's built on a foundation of trustworthiness and transparency. Doug Young emphasizes their focus on customer education and a really personalized approach, suggests they make clients feel like more than just an account number.
And he points to some pretty notable recognition to back that up, doesn't he?
He does. Doug Young mentions Augusta was named Best Overall Gold IRA Company by Money magazine, not just once, but for 2 years running 2023 and 2024. Wow.
Okay.
And Investopedia recognized them for having the most transparent pricing again in both 2023 and 2024. Plus, TrustLink has given them a Best of award for 6 years straight.
That's a pretty consistent track record of positive feedback Doug Young is citing there.
It really is. And what apparently stood out to Doug Young, what he actually calls setting the gold standard in his analysis, is Augusta's commitment to compliance. He notes they have an in-house compliance section, led by an independent adjudicator.
An independent adjudicator?
Yeah, and they voluntarily undergo regular third-party inspections, too.
An independent adjudicator and voluntary third-party inspections. Why does Doug Young see that level of compliance effort as being so significant? What's the big deal?
Well, he suggests it signals a really proactive approach, adhering to regulations, ensuring ethical practices. For an investor putting a significant chunk of their retirement into a physical asset like gold, knowing the company is going the extra mile on compliance, even inviting outside scrutiny, well, that provides a strong layer of trust and security. It's that peace of mind he talks about.
Peace of mind is definitely key when you're talking retirement savings. His report also details some specific guarantees Augusta offers.
Yes, he found those notable. There's a 7-day money-back guarantee for a full refund, no questions asked. A seamless switch guarantee if you decide to move from another provider. And a highest buyback guarantee should you ever choose to sell your metals back to them.
Those are pretty concrete promises, Doug Young points out.
Yeah.
And what about the IRA options themselves?
Doug Young's analysis shows Augusta offers gold, silver, or, a combination for IRAs, with a range of IRS-approved coins and bullion available.
And the investment process, how does that look according to his report?
He describes it as pretty straightforward, guided by experts, and he also highlights their wealth of educational resources, videos, guides, covering everything from the basics of metals investing right through to market trends.
Okay.
But here's something unique Doug Young found, something he points to as a key differentiator. Augusta provides free one-on-one web conferences with Devlin Steele. He's their director of education and apparently a Harvard-trained
A
economist.
free one-on-one with a Harvard economist.
Yeah, available to prospective clients who meet a minimum savings level, $100,000, he notes.
Wow, a direct consultation like that
Hmm.
before you even commit. Why does Doug Young think that detail is particularly significant? What's the implication?
Well, he suggests it goes way beyond a typical sales interaction. It really demonstrates a genuine commitment to educating potential clients. And it kind of indicates they're focusing on investors who are serious about understanding the market and their investment. It's a level of personalized, expert guidance he found, well, quite rare in his industry comparison.
Okay, that gives us a really solid picture of Augusta, according to Doug Young's analysis. Now, let's switch gears and explore Birch Gold Group, as detailed in his comparison.
Right. So Doug Young describes Birch Gold Group as another significant established player in the industry, known for solid customer service and a comprehensive approach. He notes their reputation is definitely supported by positive reviews and high ratings on independent consumer sites.
And Doug Young points out a difference in product selection here, right? While Augusta focuses on gold and silver, Birch offers more.
Exactly. Birch Gold Group offers a wider array for your IRA. They include gold, silver, platinum, and palladium.
Platinum, palladium, too. Okay.
Right. And this broader selection, according to Doug Young, allows for maybe more flexibility in tailoring the precious metal part of your portfolio. You could potentially include metals with different market dynamics. He also notes they provide current market information to help with that selection process.
And similar to Augusta, Doug Young mentions Birch also has a personalized approach, assigning a specialist.
Yes, assigning a dedicated specialist to work with you from the start, helping align your precious metal strategy with your, long-term retirement goals.
So both seem to offer personalized support, but Doug Young's report highlights that key difference in the product range. Let's maybe dive a bit deeper into how he compares the investment products themselves.
Sure. Doug Young's analysis confirms that both companies offer curated, high-quality products, and importantly, products that are indeed IRA eligible.
And that eligibility, that's crucial, right? There are strict IRS rules.
Oh, absolutely non-negotiable. Driven by strict IRS fineness requirements, gold needs to be 99.5% pure, silver 99.9%. Doug Young notes both companies provide lists of approved metals and offer certified products meeting these standards.
Okay.
He also mentions the secure storage options they facilitate and highlights that reputable depositories sometimes even allow clients to visit their holdings, which, adds another layer of transparency.
Right. Looking specifically at the metals offered then, Doug Young's report notes Augusta focuses on hand-picked gold and silver with high purity. He even mentions exclusive coin options within those two metals.
Whereas Birch, like we said, offers that broader range, including platinum and palladium. Doug Young frames this as providing more options if you want to diversify within the precious metal class itself, not just add precious metals as a whole to your portfolio.
That makes sense. Doug Young also makes a useful distinction in his report,
Yeah.
something about bullion versus coins.
Yes, and this is important for IRAs. For IRA purposes, the value is primarily based on the metal content and purity. That's the bullion value. It's not really about the rarity or collector demand of a specific coin.
So even if a coin is approved, its value in the IRA is tied to the metal.
Exactly. Its contribution to the account value is tied to its metal weight, not its numismatic or collectible value.
Got it. And his comparative analysis on the metals themselves, what does he say there?
Well, it's insightful. Doug Young sees gold and silver as the traditional anchors. Long history as stores of value, consistent demand. Platinum and palladium, he notes, can offer potential growth, but they do come with higher price volatility and more risk.
So a choice between perceived stability and maybe higher but riskier returns within that precious metal sphere.
That's how he presents it, yeah.
Okay, that breaks down the product side based on Doug Young's comparison. Now, let's talk about something everyone wants to know about the necessary costs involved. The fees.
Always crucial. Doug Young's report emphasizes that understanding fees is critical, and he actually commends both companies for being transparent about them, which is good.
Transparency is definitely key. So How does Augusta look on fees, according to him?
He describes Augusta as having a clear upfront pricing model, gives example fees like often around a $50 setup fee and maybe $100 for the annual storage fee. And he specifically highlights Augusta's reported lack of high-pressure sales tactics regarding those fees.
Okay, sounds straightforward. What about Birch Gold Group's fees in his report?
Doug Young notes that Birch, while also transparent, seems to have a fee structure that can be a bit more complex. It might vary. He gives examples like a setup fee that could potentially be waived depending on the investment size, perhaps,
Oh, right.
but potentially higher annual fees. He cites examples around $150 for combined storage and administration costs.
So maybe a bit more variability there with Birch.
Seems that way from his analysis. And this raises an important point from Doug Young. It's vital to look beyond just the initial cost. You need to understand the total costs over time, including those annual fees. He cautions about potential hidden costs like transaction fees, though he does note both Augusta and Birch appear upfront about these in his findings.
Right, always read the fine print. Doug Young's comparison encourages looking beyond just the dollar amount of the fees, though, and considering the value you receive.
Exactly. He frames it as comparing the value in services, support, and that crucial peace of mind. He suggests Augusta provides value through its streamlined process and consistent service, while Birch maybe offers value through its wider selection and personalized attention. It's about what you prioritize.
Which leads us perfectly into the customer experience itself, because that's paramount when you're dealing with your retirement savings. How does Doug Young's analysis look at how smooth, informative, and, empowering the process feels for the investor?
Well, for Augusta, Doug Young highlights their strong education focus again. And having a dedicated customer success agent who apparently walks you through every single step of the process, start to finish.
Okay, hand-holding, which can be good. And Birch.
Birch, according to Doug Young's comparison, offers a similar level of personalized service, focusing on developing tailored plans and providing ongoing support. So both seem strong on service delivery.
But here's where Doug Young's report really dives into the hard data. Customer ratings, and maybe more importantly, complaint records.
Right. And at first glance, both companies look really strong. Both have A+ from the Better Business Bureau, AAA from the Business Consumer Alliance, and 5 out of 5 stars on TrustLink. On the surface, very similar here.
Okay, so where's the difference he found?
This is where Doug Young's deeper dive into the complaint data is particularly telling. He reports that Augusta Precious Metals shows, wait for it, 0 complaints closed on the BBB, all time.
0, ever.
And 0 complaints closed on the BCA, all time.
Wow. 0 complaints ever recorded on those major consumer watchdogs. How does Doug Young explain that in his report? What does that level of, flawless record signal about a company?
Well, he suggests it's incredibly rare, almost unheard of, and indicates a company with exceptional systems, really proactive customer service, and a deep commitment to resolving potential issues before they even escalate to a formal complaint. He sees it as a powerful indicator of operational excellence and integrity, directly relating back to that peace of mind factor we keep mentioning.
That is truly remarkable data presented in his report. What about Birch Gold Group?
His comparison notes, Birch Gold Group had 8 complaints closed on the BBB in the last 3 years. And 4 complaints closed on the BCA in the last 12 months, though. To be fair, none in the last 3 years on the BCA specifically.
Okay, so still highly rated overall, clearly, but there's a distinct difference in that specific complaint data highlighted by Doug Young.
A very distinct difference. And Doug Young directly connects this data point to his overall conclusion in the comparison. His report explicitly states why, based on the information he analyzed, he believes Augusta comes out on top.
Okay, and the key reasons he cites in his report for that conclusion are?
Their meticulous commitment to compliance, that virtually flawless complaints record we just discussed, the consistent industry awards, those unique educational offerings, like the one-on-one web conferences, and the robust guarantees. He clearly assigns significant weight to these factors in his assessment of what makes a trustworthy and high-quality provider.
Right. And it's important, as you said, to remember this is Doug Young's analysis and conclusion based only on the source material we're exploring here. Your individual priorities might lead you to weigh these factors differently.
Absolutely. But his reasoning for his verdict is clearly laid out in his comparison for you to consider.
So, taking all this information from Doug Young's comparison, how does it translate into practical steps for someone listening who might be considering a gold IRA?
Well, first, Doug Young's report emphasizes aligning your precious metals investment with your personal financial goals. Seems obvious, but crucial. He suggests that a company like Augusta, with its strong focus on education and tailored guidance, is well equipped to help ensure this alignment happens properly.
And setting up the account itself,
Yeah.
rolling over funds.
Doug Young's analysis notes that both companies assist with rolling over funds from existing retirement accounts, 401ks, 403bs, TSTs, or traditional IRAs. His report specifically mentions Augusta's process as simplifying this and providing sort of step-by-step assistance.
Okay, and just to quickly recap the benefits of a gold IRA, as mentioned in the source.
Sure, it's seen as a way to potentially diversify your retirement portfolio, maybe offer some protection against inflation, and provide potential tax advantages like tax-deferred growth until you take distributions in retirement.
Of course, no investment is totally without risk. Does Doug Young's report touch on the downsides?
It does. It acknowledges that precious metal prices can fluctuate,
Mhm.
based on global market demand, geopolitical events, currency strength, lots of factors. However, he balances this by noting gold's historical perception as a safe haven asset, something that often performs well during economic instability.
So it's about balance and diversification.
Exactly. He stresses that working with a reputable company and ensuring the Gold IRA is just one part of a diversified overall retirement strategy are key ways to help mitigate potential risks. Don't put all your eggs in one basket, essentially.
Makes sense. And finally, Doug Young's comparison suggests it's important to keep an eye on things. Review your investments.
Yeah, definitely. Review your Gold IRA investments regularly, at least annually, or maybe anytime you have a significant life change that might affect your goals.
Okay, so to sum up the key factors Doug Young advises looking for when choosing a company, based on his comparison, pay close attention to their reputation, their transparency, that commitment to compliance.
The quality and selection of their products, the level of customer service and support they provide, and the educational resources they offer, those seem to be the big ones from his analysis.
Well, this deep dive into Doug Young's source material has certainly given us a detailed look at his comparison of Augusta Precious Metals and Birch Gold Group.
Yeah, we've explored their different approaches, the metals they offer, how their fee structures are presented according to him, and crucially, those really striking details about their customer experience and complaint records that Doug Young highlighted.
Choosing the right partner for a gold IRA is clearly a significant decision for your retirement future. And Doug Young's comparison really underscores that the best fit.
Well, it depends on your individual priorities, doesn't it? Absolutely. Whether that's the widest possible selection of metals or maybe that absolute top tier record on compliance and customer satisfaction we saw with Augusta
Mm.
or a specific fee structure and service model, it's personal.
So here's something to think about building on that. Considering how much Doug Young's report emphasized the peace of mind offered by strong compliance and guarantees, and also the tangible nature of physical gold versus increasingly digital assets,
Yeah.
how much value do you place on that feeling of security, maybe holding something physical in your retirement plan, compared to focusing purely on, say, the widest range of potential investment options?